I didn't. Oh, I have hand gel.
Oh, I love me a bit of hand gel. I get mine for free.
I've had this hand gel for months. I don't know if this is still good. No, I think nearly a year. I've not used it.
Oh, yeah, you might be pushing it there, love.
Oh.
I think it still works, but I think it lessens its
effect. But it's just still nice to have, you know. I got cuts on my hands and I just forgot about that.
Oh, that is worse.
Oh.
Enjoy.
My hands smell like bubblegum now. It's bubblegum flavoured. Hello and welcome to the Quarantine Quality Podcast with your hosts Stan and Adam, and for the first time in our podcast history, a guest.
Today, in this episode, what we do is we catch up with our old friend from university, and she's going to give us a few pointers as to how to stay healthy during quarantine.
So, hey Georgia, who are you and what do you do?
So hi, I'm Georgia. I went to university with both Adam and Stanley, and technically on paper we are journalists now, but actually in my spare time I am a radio DJ, and that is what I'm passionate about, and that's what I've been hoping to have as a dream job in the end. Once we're all out of this quarantine, that will be the dream. So that is me. I'm a radio personality. Hello.
That's cool.
I don't know what to say. Georgia, who are you? No idea. I'm spending this time soul searching, so I'll let you know when I find out who I am.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's interesting enough, right?
Yeah.
We're all doing a bit of soul searching at the moment. It's a
You
different
just got to
time.
find what makes you now we've got the time. That's what I'm doing, really.
Well, you've come to the horrible realization that you never had to think about it, but now you actually have to think, who are you? And that's
Yeah, you saying, Georgia, who are you? Introduce yourself has really made me realise who am I. But we'll hopefully, maybe by the end of this podcast, we'll find out.
Oh, soul search.
Oh, mind blown.
That sounds good. So, Georgia, you may not know who you are, but what have you been doing since the quarantine?
I must admit, I've probably done more things hobby-wise since the quarantine than I've ever tried before, and that's purely because I've wanted to try and find the thing that will take my mind off everything else. So I've actually tried quite a few things. I've done re-exploring my drawing, because I haven't actually drawn since art GCSE about a million years ago. Lots of photography, because obviously during university you'll know that we did a lot of filming and I didn't actually do much still work. I did a lot of photography, and I've tried taking pictures of animals for the first time with my pet. And yeah, I've made a lot of my own videos. The one that rolls on YouTube, follow me. Whilst being in quarantine and planning what sort of content I'll make, and by doing what sort of content or hobbies I want to do, that has made me realise what my interests are in, and therefore that aspect of myself. I've discovered what I'm good at, what I like, and that sort of thing. So I've spent a lot of time doing lots of different hobbies, probably at least one a day, to see what I like and don't like. And I've ruled out puzzle as not a hobby I enjoy, because I've spent 4 days doing it and I've only just completed it. And
what kind of puzzle?
It was a Disney puzzle. It was 1,000 pieces, and it was a panoramic as well, so it was so wide. I had to find the right space for it, and 1,000 pieces, and a lot of them were the same sort of colour, because it was in a night theme. So it was all dark blues, and you couldn't actually see any shapes to distinguish the pieces. So that's a no from me. But
I appreciate.
It's good to discover the good things and the bad things, because then you can rule things out as you go.
That's nice. Do both.
Nothing is a failure at that point. It's just, okay, I've tried that. That's not for me. Move on.
Granted, and I appreciate that, but I don't know. I feel like there's a bit where I would have just looked at the 1,000-piece puzzle, and after the first piece, I've gone, no, this isn't for me.
Thing is, half my problem is I'm very stubborn as well. So by the second day, I was very much, this is getting nowhere, but I must finish because I have started. So that's why I took 4 days to come to the conclusion it wasn't for me.
At least you give it a try, though.
Well, in this current situation, all you can do is try things. And as I say, it's trial and error really, and nothing's a failure.
Yeah,
It's
you know.
just not for me.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it has been like This sounds really bad because this has been an awful situation, and everything. But like, I've noticed a lot more people have been like, at least who I've talked to at work, like finding themselves doing new things. Like they've been able to paint a room they haven't been able to do. Or they've
Yeah.
gone into gardening. I've like you said, experiencing new things, Georgia. I started learning how to animate with Blender.
Well, I think, I mean, for me personally, it was from a place of a lot of my time before quarantine was I'd had to encourage myself to go out and do things because of my mental health and my anxiety and things. So now I'm inside, I can't rely on doing things or meeting up with people to distract myself. I have to distract myself while still at home, somewhat festering on things. And
Mm.
so instead of being able to distract myself with going out and doing things, I've had to do them at home, and actually that's been quite good for self-discovery of hobbies and things. So it's kind of worked in a positive way, really.
I always think that like we're never really going to get this experience to get this much free time again.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's exactly the way you've got to look at it. Otherwise, it will just stress you out, really.
Think of it as like an advantage to learn new things that you'll never get to use again.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate on my part that I'm not working from home. I don't have a job to take up some of the time, and I can see how some people would find it stressful to work from home and then once that's finished still be at home and do something relaxing because you've just spent that whole time in the exact same place doing something not relaxing. But you still can distinguish the two. And with that, when you're working at home, you have more time to break it up as you wish, so long as you do, your hours in the day. I think a lot of places
Yeah.
you're flexible to do that, so that's quite good.
Also, like, I don't know if you found this as well. Just like at the moment, not having to like worry about looking for work at the moment has also made it easier to do new hobbies. Like I wanted to try a bunch of new things, but I always think now I should probably be looking for work at the moment. And now that I don't have that worry for the moment, it has made it easier just to get into new things.
Thing is, I've been really conflicted because I've had a lot of that of, okay, so because before as I say, I didn't have a job, I was job searching and everything. But now I feel like, yes, I'm glad I don't have the pressure of, I must be finding a job now when actually I want to be exploring my hobbies. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I could be using this time to find a job, and I've started the job searching process and now I can't continue it. And so technically I feel like that time was wasted before quarantine, whereas now, I don't have that time. But yeah, it is, we do have to think about it of, okay, we can't job search technically right now, and that's not on us, and therefore that is a bit of weight off. Like, I still have a bit of guilt insofar as I'm not job searching anymore. But as you say, it's the pressure off of, okay, that's not my fault. But that took a while for me to grasp, actually.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think about because I don't know, like you said, it feels like it should be your fault. It feels like you should be doing more, but like there really is nothing you can do in this circumstance.
But in a way, like the way I got over that feeling of guilt of like it should be my fault, as you said, like the way that I got through that was the hobbies thing is somewhat job searching insofar as, some of those skills I'll be able to take into jobs and things and say, look, I've produced this. Like my videos, for example, I can say, even just from the same rooms in my home, I've produced this many different videos or whatever. And therefore I was able to be creative enough to do those things. So it all comes back to being able to produce material from your hobbies that would then take it into a workplace if you pick the right hobbies. I think that's one way you can overcome that anxiousness.
I never actually thought about that, but that's actually a really good point.
You're welcome. Life tips with Georgia. Find hobbies that match your dream job, and then you can take them into the future with you.
Aye. Well, that's pretty good.
I try. I'm full of wisdom, me.
That's good. I do agree. I never thought that. Like, I'm pretty happy because like I've like now you mention it, like you probably could use 3D animation in use in some like fashion, I suppose.
Literally, I mean, the way everything's going, any digital experience will help with any other sort of digital experience. You know, you don't even have to use or practice the same software as something else, but it still gives you a grasp of the digital world.
Mm.
Like all the different Adobe softwares, I've got so many. You know, I've got the bundle of Adobe, and so the main ones I use are the Premiere, the Photoshop, and all of that. And actually, there's a lot of similarities in some of those with some of the others because it's all just under the same umbrella, but it's not the same software. You know, you're still practicing digital aspects. You know.
I do find like even like with this like once you've learnt Premiere, that does translate into a lot of other programs.
Yeah, and
Anything
that's
with
the
a
same for
timeline.
anything, not even just Adobe, but any digital software will give you some sort of basis of knowledge for other digital aspects.
If you like really want to get into video editing or something that you want, like, and you have the time now, which you probably will, as George just said, like just get open sourceware material, like open sourceware stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. Like you don't like I mean Premiere Pro, like unfortunately that's what they'll judge you usually. It's like that or Vegas. Like you probably can't get a video editing job unless you've used those two programs. But
Yeah.
like if you just want to do it like you can get anything open source now. Like there's pretty much anything you even for like game design with Unity you can get for free.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just stuck to all the Adobes because I had it from university before. That's what the software we used, isn't it? That's what I just kept it because that's what I was used to. But by all means, you know, it's the opportunity to try new things. And if it's not something that you've had before because you just want to learn it, you haven't studied it or anything, that it doesn't stop you doing, as you say, like just getting anything that is available to you. It doesn't matter so long as you build the same skills that you're interested in. It doesn't matter whether you had access to it before or whether it's the right software because it all develops skills of sorts anyway,
Why don't you talk about your radio DJ career?
or my lack thereof now that quarantine's taken it away from me.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that along with the gym are probably the two things I do miss the most and I have struggled with. But as I say, where I've missed radio DJing, I've found with the video editing and things.
Have you tried Wii Sports?
No, not yet. I need to get the Wii back out.
Listen, I'm not saying that's a substitute for the gym.
My arms
Wii
are
boxing
bowling,
is like
but
the most hellish. Oh, it's tennis and for me it's tennis and
tennis
boxing.
is the what? Oh, tennis kills everybody.
See, because I still think it's boxing's the most like, because that's with the nunchuck as well. So you've got like both hands moving
Oh yeah,
there.
that's true. I didn't actually ever do boxing all that much when I used to play it when I was younger. So I don't know, but yeah, bowling I try and avoid because I dislocated my shoulder once playing bowling.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
Yeah, I was holding the remote and I had it you know, my wrist through the safety thing because that's what it recommends. And I went to bowl and I outstretched my arm, but like I swung it so far up and then back around that my arm popped out the socket.
Oh.
I recommend if you do that very enthusiastically on both arms, then you balance out the damage on both. I was very lopsided, having only dislocated the one arm.
If you have to dislocate one, dislocate both.
You might
Listen.
as well be even. You got to even out.
I don't want
regime.
to get this podcast sued for libel. Me and Adam are the creators are not telling you to dislocate one arm if you've dislocated the other.
I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying if you'd like to have an even body shape,
That's a recommendation.
or not.
You were still recommending dislocating on shoulder.
I'm not recommending dislocating your arm. Just perhaps have the same amount of enthusiasm on both sides.
Wait, what you're saying exactly? What you're saying is like, okay, well, might as well do it now that I have the other one dislocated. That's a recommendation.
One arm is swollen, the other arm might as well be. Got to make the clothes fit somehow.
We do not endorse this kind of recommendations.
No, I'm not a medical expert per se, but I don't know if a doctor himself would recommend it
I
unless they're.
mean, it popped right back in. It's fine.
Oh God, what would you like? Did you pop it in yourself?
Oh well, one of my arms does come out on its own accord, or rather, I can make it come out. So it's not so much, that I was that violent. Just more than. I'm not making this any better. I think we'll just move on.
My arm can come out on its own accord, but it's not really that violent.
I could just put my arm up and then tense my shoulder a little bit, and you can see the lump under my armpit from where it comes out. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so maybe bowling's not the one for me ever again.
Don't ever try boxing.
Rule that one out.
Or
Why
tennis.
Not?
Actually, I'm just going to be honest. If it just randomly.
No, with the boxing one.
Not recommend the Wii at all. Actually.
with the boxing one is a good idea because it's what Georgia was saying earlier. You dislocate one and then you other.
Yeah, and to be honest,
it doesn't come out on its own like willy-nilly per se. Like day to day, my arm doesn't dislocate every single day, but just certain, if I stretch a bit too far, or if I tense my shoulder, I can make it come out. It's not that it decides to come out anyway. So, but yeah, I'm not making this any better, but my point is, if you're gonna do the Wii, do it with care.
Out of curiosity, just to ask, it's probably a really stupid question I'm saying out loud. Does it hurt when you dislocate your shoulder?
It depends on the circumstance. If I make it do it, no. But there was one time where the shoulder that can do it anytime, it was assaulted of sorts, and as a consequence, it did pop out painfully.
Ooh.
But on the regular, if I pop it out on my own accord, then no, it doesn't hurt.
I was reading a martial arts manga, and there was this jujitsu master, and the reason he was able to get out of any lock was because he could just dislocate any part of his body.
No.
So
see, no, that I wouldn't enjoy.
Wait, hold on a second. But you enjoy dislocating your shoulder?
Well, it's a little bit of party tricks. It's only the one shoulder in it. I'm like, oh, look at this. But the whole body. I just feel like you become a bit of a liability.
He was called the Rubber Man, if I'm correct. So.
Nice.
I know. I was wondering that. I was wondering, could you really just get out of a jiu-jitsu armbar if you just dislocated your shoulder?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Sam. I haven't tried dislocating my shoulder for useful purposes.
Right. On the floor, then.
I'm not getting on the floor.
I was just curious. I just wanted to know.
The most I've done with my shoulder is lift my arm up and make the lump come out of my shoulder just to show people I can dislocate it. I don't actually do any weird tricks.
Just to prove it.
That's pretty hardcore on its own, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite the badass. I'm never saying that again. Cut that out.
You have to deal with that shame now.
Great.
just to reiterate, she's the one that rolls on YouTube.
Oh, thanks. If that shout out because I said something stupid gets me followers, I don't care.
Isn't that how YouTube works?
Yeah. I mean, if that's how you go viral, fine. Follow me. I say lots of silly things.
I don't know how viral you'll get off of our podcast.
But don't downplay yourself like that, Sammy.
I mean, we're pretty lucky. We did get one of the first views we got on the last video was of a guy with 40k subscribers.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I was really glad he said nice video. I was like, thank you, but why in God's earth were you watching this video?
Yeah, I mean, it's you've got to target the right people, really.
But you can't because the algorithm makes sure that you never get them.
The person that retweeted my YouTube video years ago, one of the first ones I did that got higher than 100, has 189,000 followers on Twitter.
Wow.
So, not to brag, but I'm famous.
Right, but
That's pretty like pretty good. That's pretty.
yeah,
That's like
really nice.
I wouldn't say that's internet famous, but that's like more like internet popular on the street.
I'll take it. Listen, my little 22 subscribers right now, we're tight. So if anyone wants to join such a lovely little family, go for it. Follow me. I'm the one that rolls on YouTube.
Nice. Well,
How many times do you think I could plug myself during this podcast?
I was gonna say, I think this is the 4th time. If someone wants to get into DJing, how do you recommend getting into DJing?
Volunteer. That's what I do. Volunteer was the best move I made.
Where did you volunteer, for instance?
I am a radio DJ at my local hospital radio, but it's also
Hospital
online
radio,
as well. They started broadcasting online last November, so over a year ago now. So it's through hospital radio, but because they then branched out to being online as well, it's actually broadened my audience, which therefore, you know, all I intended to do was get a bit of experience and volunteer with hospital radio, whatever, and as a starting point. But actually, being on the internet means anyone can listen, and so therefore, you know, it's bigger than I intended to start with, really. So, you know, you never know. So you know, put your foot in the door, and you'll never know what happens, really.
Oh, it's like I've heard it's a great job just in general for like getting your foot in media related stuff. Like I was talking to a journalist who found his like start on hospital radio.
Yeah, and it's brilliant as well because also the aspect I found the best with it is hospital radio is I mean, as I say, it is online, but it starts out in hospital. You know, it's broadcast throughout the hospital, and therefore you're there to entertain and lighten the moods of people that are actually in a really poor or difficult situation right now. So I found that quite rewarding because it helps your presenting style as well to be very upbeat and very interactive, and it develops your personality as well because you're there for people that, you know, aren't having the best time, and you're there to make them feel better. You're there for that purpose because, you know, they're stuck in hospital. All they've got is the hospital radio, and you become such a key part in that, and uplifting them. It helps with your personality as a presenter as well as just teaching you how to.
Okay, Georgia. So now you have a few tips for us, don't you, on how to stay mentally healthy during quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, you know, I'm a professional in any aspect at all in giving tips and things, and I'd definitely say if you're struggling at the minute to find someone that can give you the solid advice that you need. But I definitely have always suffered mental health problems, and therefore it is having an impact being in quarantine on those. So during quarantine, I started off worrying, you know, a lot of my anxiety I tried to overcome or at least disguise or distract myself from by going out and seeing people and doing things and you know, putting myself out there to distract myself from my thoughts. And I got into quarantine worried that, you know, that's all been taken away from me. I tried so hard to push myself to go outside and to interact with people and push myself out of my comfort zone to overcome those things that now have all been taken away. But I would recommend, and this is what I've been doing because of that, is exploring the hobbies that we talked about earlier. Exploring the hobbies has then given me a different kind of distraction that I had when going out and seeing people and the safety in numbers sort of thing. Having hobbies that you can do on your own is a distraction without having to rely on being able to see other people or going out. And actually it helps you gain confidence and look to things in the future. Again, as I say, with a lot of my hobbies, I've tried to focus them on things that will benefit my job search once I'm out. And I think that's really helped because, as I say, I struggled having everything that I found comforting to me taken away by not being able to socialise. That it's very much finding the things that you can do and not necessarily always keeping busy, because I found that when I tried that in the first week of quarantine, that actually backfired a bit, and I just got a bit emotionally drained of, okay, well, now I've run out of things to do. But you have to explore lots of different parts of yourself and take it as a positive of, okay, I can work out what makes me anxious even, and try and find things that overcome that. So a lot of things that make me anxious are self-confidence, lacking, that sort of thing, self-esteem issues and stuff like that. So a lot of my videos that I've made as part of my hobbies whilst in quarantine have been visual to other things. So yes, I've been in a couple, but it's not been, me talking to a camera or anything, because I've worked around it and I've still very much enjoyed it without having to be anxious of being on camera and that sort of thing. So I've managed what makes me anxious and turned it into like different ways of doing hobbies with it. So I definitely recommend exploring those things. And even if you don't enjoy them, that's something that you just note and then keep in the back of your mind, I don't enjoy that. So you can avoid it as much as you can. And obviously, as we're doing now, talk to people, Skype people, or video chat people, keep in touch with them in any way possible. And that will help because you won't feel as alone. And yeah, that's generally the sort of things I've been doing to overcome my anxieties a little bit, whilst not having the safety of being able to be with other people.
That's definitely good tips for keeping in contact with people, speaking them through Skype, not just like through online chats, isn't it? So actually speaking to people, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I was starting therapy before quarantine kicked in, and actually therapy got cancelled because of quarantine, and I felt like that was a massive step back. The minute I started seeking help professionally, it got taken away from me. But then at the same time, just being able to talk to friends and family normally, yes, it's a distraction. You're not necessarily healing your mental health, but it will make it more manageable until you can get that help again. I found that very beneficial for that. Like being able to get through this difficult time with people until it's something that I can recover from with professional help when we're out.
Well, no, thank you for that. I'm not really I'm not really sure how to end this. It's I mean it makes a ton of sense what you're saying, especially.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like I was trying to think of questions. You like sort of answered evereverything that I was like even popped up in my mind.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there.
No, that was good.
I didn't know where I was taking it.
It's a journalist in you.
I try. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one though, really, because a lot of my anxiousness, as well as the self-esteem side, is very health orientated. One of my biggest fears is death, and anything. If I watch, documentaries about people with cancer or anything, I would worry that I have it. It's very weird, but very health orientated. But actually, being in quarantine, I'm not scared of the virus, and I'm one of the few people that actually the virus itself is not the issue. It's the being self-isolated that I've found the most anxious part of my brain, which I found quite strange. But I guess because I've lived certain types of anxiousness anyway, I don't feel any different to my normal life, whereas a lot of people are now feeling the impact of mental health issues because it's a change, whereas this hasn't actually been a change in my life mentally all that much.
I see.
Do you have any tips for people who usually stay like physically active? Because I imagine they must be struggling.
One of my things, as I said, was self-esteem and things, and I've been to the gym for a couple of years now, twice a week, for an hour each time or whatever, exercising and working on feeling confident in myself, and I'm really proud of how strong I've become. But obviously gyms are now closed, and that's basically gym and pushing myself to do things have been the hardest things that I've lost. But there are so many resources out there now for different levels of physical activities to do at home, one of which being the PE with Joe Wicks on YouTube that all of my family have been doing, my mum, my sister and my nephew, of all different ages, abilities, sizes. And as someone who's in a wheelchair, I started finding it quite hard, but actually, yes, what I now do in quarantine is not exactly what I did at the gym, because I did a lot of heavy weights there. But everything is better than nothing. And it's just a case of, even if you've got a few baked bean tins or anything like that, find a YouTube video, find, someone on Twitter that's known for fitness, and watch videos and look up lists of different exercises you can do, or positions that you can stretch in. And, it's about collecting things that you think will be beneficial to you, and not necessarily just sticking to one video type or one person either. Maybe explore lots of different people. For example, I found a guy on YouTube who does exercise videos for people in wheelchairs or who aren't in wheelchairs but have low mobility and all that sort of stuff. So I use him, but at the same time I spoke to Richmond, who went to university with us, who's very much into physical fitness and things like that. And I messaged him, how can I adapt this to make this more, not intense for me, but more my sort of level. And I combined the two, that I spoke to him and then the videos I watch. And it's all about collating a program yourself out of lots of other resources. I think that's quite helpful, because then it's tailored to you as well. And obviously make sure that you do make use of your exercise a day as well. If that's something you think would help you, is to do the exercise outside, you do have that available to you once a day. And if it was something that you shouldn't be doing, then it wouldn't be allowed. So, and I think that's one of the things that people are reluctant to do, is to do their exercise outside, because if they don't have to go out, then they don't, and that's fair enough. But at the same time, if you do want to maintain your physical fitness, for both your physical and your mental health, then I would definitely recommend it, because I've used it alongside physical exercising inside with positions and stretches. I've mixed that with my walk a day, pushing myself on a journey and back, just to clear my head as well as exercise. So I would definitely recommend making a program that works for you out of lots of different resources. Don't just stick to one.
Well, we're reaching the end of the podcast. Is there any last bits you want to say, Georgia?
It is a time where you can really explore yourself and your hobbies, and use that to get yourself out of an anxiety funk or a depressive funk where you feel like you're not doing anything or achieving anything. And using those hobbies to not only fill that emptiness, but also improve yourself as a person, so that you have even greater skills when you come out.